Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, a gloriously rainy Saturday morning over here from Helsinki, Finland, but we do have plenty to discuss on good old price action in the aftermarket hours, Bitcoin doing all sorts of interesting things. I call the aftermarket hours my sleeping time, actually. With that in mind, I would like to wish you the best, and the happiest, and I want to make a concerted effort to make this video a little bit on the shorter side, perhaps less than 20 minutes. If I can do that, mission is accomplished. So with that in mind, we're only going to be focusing on the short-term timeframes today. If you want the more long-term analysis, last week's video on Sunday in the long-term analysis playlist is still very much relevant, as is several of the videos from this week as well. With that said, what do we see over here on the Krown Chain application, which we found at app.krown.net? Well, we do see that we have more or less continuation of a lot of the top end metrics that we've been looking at. So into the market data tab we go over here, and what do we see that is of interest? We do see that open interest, to use a bad alliteration right there, is actually continuing to move up, which is good, means that this price action is supported, which is what you do expect to see in your long-term uptrends. And the global funding rate is still nothing really crazy right there. It's par for the course. It's really not until we see it about 10 times this number where I'd even look at it as compelling data. So with that in mind, I think it's time to go into the price action charts right now, and let's talk about the most important thing that happened in the last 24 hours since we last spoke. And yes, indeed, it has happened. We do have a daily golden cross on the exponential moving averages right here. That's between the green 55 and the purple 200. And technically speaking, it's actually not confirmed just yet, but it will confirm tonight with any sort of a closure above 42,126 and 58 cents on the index chart right here, by the way. With that in mind, that will set in some major biases for probably like the next month to month and a half to come, that I would be looking at any sort of move down to about 42,500, maybe even 43,000 bucks as a major area to be aware of. And perhaps I might even be looking at some long-term positions around there. But for right now, things are still looking good for some more short-term upside, that being over the next 5 days. More importantly, we do see that the five-day chart right in over here is obviously pushing on through, and we do have a natural target based off of yesterday's closure back up to the top side of our breakdown points. Actually, this can be better shown perhaps on this chart right here. Will it be? Yes, it will. That's going to be right around our breakdown from May, or middle of May, actually, between about 50,000 bucks and 51,000 bucks. Let's actually go down to the short-term timeframes right here, and let's see what we're looking at right here, right now. So with that in mind, does that just necessarily mean that I'm like immediately looking for Bitcoin to, zoom its way up to that next targeted region? No, not necessarily. I mean, it is a weekend, and weird things do happen over the weekend. If Bitcoin wants to pull back first, obvious target's going to be anywhere between about 46 to 46.5, and then nice little $500 pocket, about $1,000 lower. But overall, as long as Bitcoin's above there, I do look for general short-term trend continuation, as we do maintain the higher lows above yesterday's video at about 44,200 right here. So as long as that maintained, do you have more or less a bias to the upside right here? With that in mind, do we see anything on momentum oscillators that is of particular interest right now? Yes, we do see 4-hour RSI breaking back into the bullish control zone. We did identify that hidden bullish divergence yesterday. That's obviously, mostly played out to new highs on this run. And we see that volatility is still expanding here. So I want to see volatility actually get, north of 90 percentile before I really start to look for a greater, another consolidation on this time frame. Probably going to be biased towards looking for another higher low first. And if I had to, guess where that's going to come around, probably 46,000 bucks, but a little bit too far away from that right now, and I don't think that's too appropriate to get into. So what we should also be looking at on the higher term timeframes is right on over here. This is the 3-day chart, and Bitcoin actually did close yet again another 3-day dildo above the top side troll band for 3 days in a row now, actually. So 3 days makes a trend. No, it doesn't really necessarily work like that. But more importantly, as long as Bitcoin is maintaining that posturing, I would essentially be having a trending bias to the upside. And in the next targets really are going to be like 50,000 to 51,000 bucks. At that point, I would be looking for a short-term pullback, and then I would still be biased towards even the short-term time frame trend still likely maintaining the uptrend. So until we start to destroy that, I will really not be looking for a greater pullback, although I do believe that it is, pretty damn close here. This price action is very aggressive, and it is getting a bit extended. But do we have another move to the upside first before having a greater move to the downside? Yes, I do think so. At least that's how things are lining up right here. And I think the 3-day chart really easily shows this. Anyways, looking at 3-day momentum oscillators, we do see 3-day MACD actually just breaking back above the zero read right there, which is good. That'll be confirmed a little bit later today, and we'll continue rising above 41,000 bucks. Everything else looking fine over here for what it's worth. And then on top of that, we actually did close a 5-day chart yesterday as well. And the 5-day didn't necessarily close above the top side Toronto band in this case, but you can see that we will have a chance to do that coming into the next 5 days of price action. So I'd be confident in saying that within the next 5 days of price action, I'd very likely be looking for Bitcoin to close, not close, but test somewhere around 50,000 bucks, give or take, a few bucks from there. And then we're going to get the, like the major signal as to whether this really wants to continue onwards and inwards into the very likely $55 to $56,000 region, or if we actually play out a pullback first down to very likely, low $40,000 territory. But as it stands right now, a lot of good things going on the 5-day chart. Of course, we do see 5-day MACD fresh across the upside a couple closures ago and continuing on as long as we are above 38,873. So looking a little bit like they're right there. And then if we do go into our momentum oscillators over here, I believe that our 5-day is still very much up and will remain to the upside on 5-day Stokes as long as above 32,500. So that is good. And then of course, actually daily, I should also denote did officially cross back onto the upside yesterday as we did fulfill the conditions for that. And this is very interesting to myself because we did see a consolidation for about how many days? Pretty much the whole real trading week. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. And what was going on during that time? Well, volatility on the daily was falling during that. And so when you see something like that, especially within the context of an uptrend, and, an uptrend would insinuate that, we're very likely put in higher lows in this case. This is going to be considered constructive, at least in the way that I look at things. The reason that is because if we're looking for a contraction phase, if we're getting contraction on volatility while the daily still maintains its trend, well, that is very likely to lead to trend continuation. And now that we see momentum popping back up again, as long as we actually now stay above 47,235, then I would be, just looking for continuation on this time frame as well. So higher term time frame still looking good, and again, I'd be looking somewhere right around here. Anywhere within that box is fair game, and I would be looking for weakness within that box to judge if we are going to get a short or medium term time frame pullback, which can potentially compound and take us a little bit lower. But again, even the daily does have higher lows now. Especially as long as above 38,200, you might even say that this is a higher low right here as well, about 44.5. I'd say that one's a little bit of a weaker higher low. If anything, I'd really be looking for like a more concerted effort somewhere in like the low 40s, tentatively speaking, about 42,000 bucks. But it really depends how high Bitcoin, great movie, by the way, how high Bitcoin gets on this next move. So here's what would drastically change what I would be looking for on a pullback after this first continuation phase. And it would be this: if Bitcoin does close above 50,000 bucks on a daily, and really no less than a daily, and realistically even a higher term time frame than that, like a 2-day or 3-day would be much better, or anything above that as well, obviously, then I would be looking for that continuation to 55,000 to 56,000 bucks first, that breakdown that we saw from 12th of May, technically a little bit above there, but anywhere around there would be fair, would be fine. And then I'd be looking for a pullback somewhere into the 45 to $46,000 region, and very likely be looking at that as a major opportunity for a long-term trade. But for right now, things are more or less good here. And how high do we get on this next one? There's no way to obviously know that, but we just know that for right now things are going that direction. So have to have the areas mapped out. This is less crystal ball shit and just more planning type shit, and that's what real trading is. We actually had a really good conversation today in the Discord with someone who is newer, who's just joined into the program. And he's asking some good questions. He's asking like, what should I basically be focusing on? It's like, look, man, when it comes to trading, there, like on YouTube, YouTube analysis, it looks a little more crystal ball type shit, which is not real trading. Real trading is probability statistics. That's all that it is. Nothing more, nothing less. It's nothing too sexy, actually. And realistically, it's pretty simplistic in a lot of ways once you actually get it, which is kind of funny because a lot of people think that like trading has to be all these, I don't know, we all just have weird ideas about trading before we actually do it, do it at like a high level too. But in this case, this person was asking some really good questions, and I was kind of relating these concepts that, okay, well, first off, you kind of want to dial things back. You want to just grab onto a few different indicators that kind of suit your style, which you'll essentially get over time, and you'll refine over time as well. And then more importantly, you'll just come up with these plans based off of trade checklists, which you can find on the YouTube channel freely, and that will kind of give you these setups based off of your own statistics that you have generated and tested yourself, and then you can come up with essentially plans for yourself, and that way you're actually doing it all by yourself. Anyways, with that in mind, I still do like this here for general continuation. And what else do we have on our other, on our other time frames? Obviously, weekly is going to be up as well as is the 5-day. 32, 300 is a magical number for that one. By the way, we are playing out this nice trend line going all the way back from September, October of 2014. Should identify that. And then if we go down to the medium-term time frames, like a 12-hour right here, again, very aggressive. I do think that this is rather extended right here. 47,350 would be the magical number on this one. But for right now, short-term pullbacks down to anywhere like 46.5. Very likely do bounce around there, and I would be looking for one more drive at the very least to the upside, and then depending upon whether we close above 50 or 51,000 first, then that could drive those targets a little bit higher. That is essentially what I'm looking at right now. Anyways, as you can see on on these medium and higher term timeframes, momentum oscillators are pretty aggressive right now. So I would essentially be looking for a weakness within this area. If we see something like, bearish divergence of 3 drive variety on like a 4-hour or especially a 12-hour around this region, that's where to really start to look for a bigger pullback. But for right now, things are fine. Looking at 4-hour right here, what do we see? Again, way up there, 47,000 and some odd change. 3 hours going to show about the same area, and crossing down almost right now, 47,650 is the magical number for this one. By hourly is going to be showing 47.7, and hourly is going to be showing 47,650 or so. So looking at this right here, it essentially does suggest that if we are going to see, if we are going to see continuation from this exact level before testing them down to like 46 or 46.5, then we very likely see that move happen probably later today, maybe tomorrow, that being Saturday and Sunday for the people who are not listening in the Eastern European time zone. I should probably let you know. But yes, looking at that right there, I should also be known that hourly volatility is trending down right here as well, or I shouldn't say trending down, but contracting right there throughout this little consolidation. So I would be looking for that to get a little bit lower, and then very likely resolution probably, midday to later day for myself in the Eastern European time zone. Anyways, what would happen if, or what would essentially be the idea if Bitcoin were to break below 46? I don't think that's really happening right here, but if it were to do something like that, I would be looking for a move down all the way to about 45,000 bucks and try for a higher low somewhere right around there. But again, I don't really necessarily think that that's what's going on right here. Anyways, is there anything else that I want to get onto before we close this video down? I think we've kind of nailed most of the things that I really wanted to talk about. Let's see, is there anything on the 12-hour right here? 12-hour hidden bullish divergence, but I think it's reasonable to say that's probably already played out. Looking pretty damn good right there, but volatility actually also looking for expansion right here off a very low level as well. So again, expansion in the same direction of the of the trend, and daily, by the way, getting a lovely closure above the 200 simple. It's very interesting to see around the web, and I'm not trying to single anyone out here, but for the people who looked at this as a macro high right here, very interesting, very fucking interesting. Very, very interesting way to be looking at things. I'll just put it that way, because I get sent analysis from like a lot of other people and channels and whatnot, and I don't like to put names out there and anything because it doesn't really matter. It's just an idea. You critique an idea, not a fucking person. But I'll just leave that as it is. And actually, we even do see that the daily jewel is getting maybe one more continuation hot or long signal. Again, these are extremely fucking aggressive reads right here. I don't think that this really has too much more to go, but 50,000 bucks. Let's see how it responds around there. If we start to close above there, then yeah, I would be looking a little bit higher, 55 to 56,000 bucks, and well, that's pretty much what Cardano is doing already, right? We could actually get a look very briefly at Cardano, maybe very briefly at Ethereum as well. Phenomenal daily close yesterday for Cardano. This one's very likely to retest its per all-time high, 230 or so. Pretty much, we've been looking at this one for the past couple weeks here. I mean, we always pretty much look at this one on the live streams. But what do we say coming into the 3 weeks ago, right around here? We confirmed hidden bullish divergence. A couple weeks after that, we retook the exponential, and then this week we got back into the bullish control zone. That was essentially marching our targets up from 185 to 190, then up to $2, and then now it's going to be about 230, and then very likely new all-time highs. This chart is not bearish, to put it bluntly. It's fucking good, man. It's actually still one of the better charts in cryptocurrency land. Really did not give up too much, all things considered, throughout the last couple months right there. This one held up really, really well compared to most other things, and this would be an example of a relatively strong chart in this market. So with that in mind, is there targets to be made above that region? I'm sure that we could probably really juice them out if we really wanted to, but I don't think it's too appropriate right now because I don't think it's going to be happening today. So maybe we save that for a live stream or something. Perhaps we just really briefly do something like this. Okay, there you go. All right. Long term, probably looking at $2.75 to $3. Hey, it ain't bad. All right, cool. Anyways, let's see. Let's go look at, that is long term, by the way. I need to be very fucking careful with the way that I talk about these sorts of things. Ethereum looking very, very good here as well. We're almost at our $34 to $3,500 target from the last week's videos, basically. Very, very close right there. Daily still looking pretty damn good. Daily RSI still very constructive. Again, I think that's rather aggressive right here, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a pullback in consolidation lower after fulfilling that anywhere between that target, between 34 and 35. But things are looking good for a weekly closure here too, as if this thing closes, anywhere above 3,200, I would be looking for. I'd be looking for moves back onto probably $4,000, in the next month or two. Same sort of setup here as Cardano. This one just not as, not getting as great of a move there. Obviously, Cardano is a little bit like an event, of an event-driven move as they did get their smart contracts or whatever. Or I don't know. I haven't actually looked into it, but I know that that's the word around the web right now, and that is looking very, 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 very similar. And I do look for a general continuation here as well. Monthly, I think, kind of tells the story a lot better here too. There you go. That's all you need to fucking see. Hey, not bad. Another example of one of the stronger charts within this market. Should we briefly go over traditional markets as well, or should we cut it off right there? I think we'll cut it off right there. Traditional markets, hey, what do you know? They closed on new all-time highs once again, I believe. Oh, yep, across the board. All right, nice. So we got that once again, and I'd probably be looking for new all-time highs coming in next week as well. The market that never goes down, but I would be cognizant that probably around October, November, we're probably going to see like a 15 to 20% correction if I had to guess. But for now, still. Fed balance sheet keeps expanding, so price action keeps expanding to the upside. There you go. All right, cool. I think that's about it for today. Pretty easy day. Again, just looking at it right here. As long as Bitcoin's above 46, I'd look for all lower term time frame pullbacks to just produce higher lows and very likely march on their way to $50,000 to $51,000 before a greater pullback. If we do start to lose 46, then I'd be looking somewhere right around 45 and probably higher low right there, because still can't really be bearish as long as the 4 hours in an uptrend, and that is fulfilled as long as above 44.2. With that said, I'm gonna go read about some more Templars, and I'm gonna go play some VR. So suggest me your favorite games there, because I'm a complete fucking nerd when it comes to that. So take care. I hope this one serves you well, and see you soon.